Okay, my prom is in less than 2 weeks and I just started making my dress. So, this is a video of me making it. I'm gonna be doing like a voiceover of the process. Maybe like, I don't know. This is my first YouTube video, which is very exciting, but I'm also a little stressed right now. I'm also not a seamstress. But I have sewn. Like, I make a lot of costumes and I like to alter my own clothes. So that's about all the experience I have. So this is like probably one of the biggest projects I've done, but I just wanted to show you my little sketch that I'm doing. I'll also like post it on the screen because I don't think you can see this very well. But I'm making a full ball gown with like a corset top, bodice, and with some embroidered mesh. So I have all my fabric. So I got this satin. It's like the seafoam color. And I wanted to overlay it with like a black sheer fabric, and I don't like tulle. I don't know, it's not my favorite fabric. So I'm overlaying this black chiffon. So it's like really subtle, but you can still see. I really like that. And then I have this super pretty embroidered mesh. I got it from Mood, by the way. Oh, and these two fabrics I got from Fabric Wholesale District, and I'll leave a link below for all these fabrics. And this is the mesh, and it's gonna go on the bodice and part of the skirt. So yeah. So for the skirt, what I did was I laid out my fabric and folded it in half and then in half again. And I got 5 yards of this fabric along with the chiffon to make the circle skirt, and I was gonna make 2 semicircles and sew them together. So here I am just making a normal circle skirt pattern. You can look this up. There's calculators online for it. It's pretty simple. I cut out the little top piece with my rotary cutter, and then I cut out the bottom with some fabric scissors. They didn't work very well, so I used the rotary cutter for the rest of this project, and I did this with the chiffon too. And here I am pinning all my fabric onto my mannequin just so I could see what it looks like. I wanted to sew pockets into my dress because duh, everyone needs pockets in their dress. So I looked up a pattern for the basic shape and then traced out the size I wanted my pockets to be and cut it out of this paper I had lying around. And then I only cut out the pieces out of the green satin because I was going to leave like holes in the chiffon, so I could just easily slip in my hands in and out, and you'll end up seeing that in like my little B-roll I have at the end, because I didn't really film the part of me sewing in the pockets or the slits. I got really bad at filming at some parts, but I'm sorry, but yeah. So this is the waistband. It's just chiffon over satin, and I folded it in half and sewed it onto my skirt. Okay, so I didn't film the portion of me making the actual pattern for the bodice corset top, and I wanted to like kind of walk you through the process. I'll have like little drawings here, I don't know. But so the first thing I did was I taped out like the design I wanted on my dress form. And I went over it with tracing paper and then cut out the pieces. So this is kind of what I had. I had them all labeled. As you'll see, my bodice is really complicated. It has like a lot of different boning channels and different sections. I just wanted to make it really unique. So yeah, that's why there's a lot of pieces here for my bodice. And then after that, I traced it onto normal paper. I went through a lot of drafts. These are like 5 different patterns probably, I don't know. And then I used this pattern and traced it onto like scrap fabric I had lying around to make a mock-up. So this is what it looked like, and I sewed it all together. This is just an old sheet I had for making a corset top actually, which is kind of funny because this is also going to be a corset but with different fabric. So yeah, and then after I made my mock-up, I discounted like the hem allowance, but I kept the seam allowance, if that makes sense. That doesn't make sense, but like, I basically like drew seam allowance on my pattern, and like even I drew like the hem allowance on the pattern, but I didn't bother to like hem my mock-up. That's what I meant. Anyway, and then I made alterations to my paper pattern, made another mock-up, you know, same thing, alter it, change it a bit, trace it out again on normal paper, and made another mock-up. This is actually the final one, but it went through a little bit because I had these side pieces I was like experimenting with and just decided not to use them. And yeah. So this is my mock-up, and then I used the same pattern I did for making this mock-up with my actual dress. I know a lot of people like to take their mock-up apart and then just trace those patterns, which works if you really make a lot of alterations, but I really like this mock-up, so I just traced the pattern pieces. I used my pattern to cut out the pieces of my fabric for the bodice, and I laid them all out and pre-cut my bias tape for my boning channels so I could have that for later. For my bodice, most of the parts are 3 layers, the mesh, chiffon, and satin, as you'll see with these middle parts, and then I had 2 side panels that were just mesh, and then the back was the 3 layers also. For the parts that were 3 layers, you won't see me doing it here, because here I kind of just sewed down the middle, but for the other parts that were 3 layers, I zigzag stitched around them to make it a bit easier to sew together, and I'll show you later I zigzag stitched the other edge, but then I sewed the panels wrong sides together and then cut off the seam allowance so I could just put the bias tape over them for the boning channels. Here's me showing you the zigzag stitches. For my back panels, I top stitched the top edge down to make it nice and flat. Here are all the bodice panels sewn together. I folded it in half and trimmed the bottom edge and a bit of the top to make it nice and even. So I laid down the bias tape pieces I previously cut onto each of the seams so I could remember where they went so I could sew them down. Here's me sewing it down, and I recommend if you're doing this to take it kind of slow because it's nice to get your stitches nice and straight and even. So the cup pieces were also the 3 layers of fabric, and for these I zigzag stitched around the edge, as you can kind of see there, and straight stitched them together. I made a lining out of the scrap sheet I had lying around and then sewed in the foam cups, and if you want to do this yourself, I recommend looking up a tutorial on YouTube because that's how I did mine. Then I pinned the cups onto my bodice and sewed them together. And here it is, all sewn together. I folded down this top part and then just straight stitched across. Oh, and that little middle part there to make it nice and clean. And then I had this extra bias tape and decided to sew it down on the edges to make it a nice finish. The next thing I did was install the grommets in the back. So I decided to install 4 grommets on each side, and my grommets were 1/4 of an inch like wide. So I measured out where I wanted each grommet to go. At first I tried to take a seam ripper to poke the holes, but it was not working, so I ended up using my scissors just to cut them. And then I followed the instructions of installing the grommets by pushing the 2 little pieces together and then hammering them down, as you'll see. Also, tip, after you nail down that end, as you see, flip it over, put the donut on the bottom side, and nail on the nice end, if that makes sense. And it really holds really well, and I highly recommend doing this. Next is the boning. So I got this boning that already had a casing in it, but I decided to take it out because I already had my little bias tape channels, and I cut them to pieces and I filed them to make them less sharp so they wouldn't poke through my fabric. And then I just pushed each piece into my boning channels. As you can see, my bodice is really curling up because of the boning, so I just took an iron to it on a really low setting to get it to lay flat, and then I sewed on that bottom bias tape, and here's the ribbon I used to tie it up in the back. So I put my skirt on my mannequin to see how it was looking so far, and I also cut a slit in it, as you can see here. Okay, for the straps I decided to use the extra chiffon I had. So I cut these 2 long rectangles and made them kind of thick because I wanted my straps to be a bit wider. LOL, here's a clip of me burning my chiffon because I forgot to check the settings on my iron. And here is that burnt piece of chiffon. Always check your settings. And here's the iron. I didn't show this earlier, but I just sewed the chiffon together and then flipped it inside out so I could iron it flat for my straps. Okay, it is Friday night at 10:09 p.m. I just got back from a play that I was working because I do crew, and my prom is tomorrow. I don't know if I just said that, but I am not done with my dress, but she's almost done. I have to hem the bottom because she's looking a little rough and she's too long, but it is a full circle skirt, so that's going to be very exciting. I'm so stoked. I love having circle skirts. Not really, it was joking. And then I have the bodice. She doesn't fit on my mannequin, but I have to add the straps to her. So I already made the straps, as you probably just saw. I don't know how I'm editing this video, but whatever. Yeah, my room is literally a mess. There's just fabric scraps everywhere, and I can't wait to clean it up and stuff, but that is where we are. And I told my friend I would hem her dress, and I'm gonna hem it tomorrow because I have stuff to do tonight. So I pinned the straps onto my mannequin where I wanted them to be, and I wanted to tie them kind of at the top, so that's what you see here, and I cut them right here. I sewed on the straps where I wanted them to be, and then I sewed the top parts together, if that makes sense. You can't really see. I didn't show you. Oh, here is the skirt that I need to hem. I hate hemming circle skirts. It's just a real hassle, and I normally don't measure, which is probably why it's a hassle, but I wanted this to look nice. So I did measure the satin, as you can see. So I could do a nice rolled hem. And then I pinned down my hem and then sewed along the edge. And this was the cleanest hem I've ever done, probably because I actually took the time to measure and pin it. Okay guys, it is Saturday morning, the day of prom. I am not completely done with my dress, but I'm almost there. I sewed on the straps yesterday night. And it took forever because this chiffon it's so hard to work with, but it's okay, I got it done and it looks good. And I was able to hem the satin layer of my dress. The thread looks so dark. I'm kind of sad because whatever, I thought it matched, but whatever, it's under the skirt, it's fine. So all I have to do is iron out this hem and then hem the chiffon, which I'm not looking forward to. It was so hard to just like it's fine. I don't know if I'm gonna like do a rolled hem because like you can see it, but I don't really care that much, and I don't have a serger, so I was thinking maybe like a zigzag stitch around. I don't know. I'm not sure yet. We'll see what I end up doing. But yes, that is But yes, that is all I have to do. And then I will be done. It is 9:30. It is 9:30 a.m. And I mean, I don't have to be anywhere till 1, so. Here is the last clip I have of the process, but if you were curious, I ended up doing a rolled hem on the chiffon layer. I didn't measure it, so it did come out janky, but it's okay. I was running out of time, but it looked good, and you'll see in the next clip of me trying it on. So this is me after prom. I took this clip just to show you. The skirt was kind of falling down at this point, but it's fine. But here's what it looked like.